We're back live for the final time in the 2020 NFL Draft. What a marathon this has been, guys. Thanks for tuning in time after time as we come on here live to react along with you as the Patriots make their picks. They've got one final one in the 7th round, pick 230, and they're officially on the clock.
Yeah.
Oh, so, boy. Guys, what are we thinking here with their last pick of the 2020 NFL Draft?
I would be absolutely shocked if we get through an entire draft without Belichick taking a cornerback. I know that they don't need a cornerback. They're loaded at that position. A whole draft without him taking a cornerback. I know they also took Duggar, so I guess they kind of count that as your defensive back. But you know how much Belichick loves his corners.
Well, Lamar Jackson from Nebraska and a pair of safeties, both coached up by coaches that Bill Belichick very familiar with. J.R. Reed out of Kirby Smart's Georgia program, and Kirk Ferentz coached Geno Stone at Iowa. Those are two possibilities if they are looking in that direction in terms of the secondary.
Absolutely. We're just awaiting news from the Patriots pick. They're still on the clock, taking their time with their last pick. Why not get it right in the 7th round?
How about Thaddeus Moss?
Oh,
he's tight end, LSU.
That would be something.
Three tight ends.
Three tight ends would be
a trifecta. I mean, listen, like I've been saying for a couple of picks now, we're at the point in the time where we're just clearly trying to get guys that can even make the roster.
Throwing darts, really.
They're absolutely throwing darts. The pick is in, so they have made a pick. So we'll see who it is here in a second. But yeah, we're throwing darts at the board and seeing if we can get somebody that can stick. If it's a position player, it's got to be a 4-down player, right? They got to be able to play in the kicking game. And we'll see if they finally get us a wide receiver here to get Patriots fans at least something at that spot.
A little juiced up with the final pick at 230. Just waiting on word here, either on the broadcast or on social media. We'll take it any way we can get it. But the Patriots pick is in.
We're just waiting. I mean, come on. We know the pick is in. Just tell us who it is at this point.
Thaddeus Moss. Come on. That would be a great story to end the draft on.
Any good ones left?
Well, quickly with Thaddeus Moss. Oh, here comes the pick.
Center.
We got Dustin Woodard. So we got basically three interior offensive linemen. So the Patriots are just making sure that they're set in that depth chart of the offensive line on the interior. I think this does show you, though, just a little bit about how much kind of Ted Karras meant to this entire organization, being able to back up 3 spots at a high level. It seems like they're trying to find a guy that can do something like that for them, or 1 or 2 guys that can fill those shoes, because it's difficult to do.
Absolutely, guys. Dustin Woodard out of Memphis. Was he someone who was on your radar, Evan? Do you know anything about Woodard himself?
Not a ton. I mean, not somebody that really I think I was expecting to get drafted necessarily. We're certainly at the point of the draft now where we're getting into guys that were probably going to be priority free agents. I mean, NFL.com doesn't even have a profile on this guy. So that's how you know that we're getting really deep into the trenches here at this point.
Well, we'll give you a more in-depth look on Dustin Woodard later on our website at CLNSmedia.com when we have a little bit of a chance to scout.
We'll check the tape.
And check out the tape. But guys, let's just now take a look. All the Patriots picks are in. Okay, so the draft class, we got Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, Devin Asiasi, Dalton Keene from day 2, a really productive day 2. And then a lot of guys here on day 3 as well. Let me get my list out just to make sure I get all of their names correctly. We got Justin Rohrwasser, Michael Onwenu, Justin Herron, Cash Maluia, and now Dustin Woodard.
Some reaches. I think this day number 3, I think the Patriots, like we've been saying and like Evan has been emphasizing, they have been looking to really restock the interior offensive line and the offensive line in general. That has been one of the themes. I thought the defense was retooling the defense was a major theme on day number 1, retooling the offensive line like Evan was talking about on Thursday night. That's been the theme here on day number 3. But the grades, I don't think, and Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, but the grades on these offensive linemen, not as sterling across the board as the defensive picks.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're getting into the depth here of this draft, but I will say this: Onwenu is a prospect I think a lot of people are going to really like, and just watching him, I put up a few clips of him already on Twitter. You know, he is an extremely powerful guy. That certainly stands out right away about him. When you watch him on tape, you can see the eye-popping power and upper body strength, and he clearly is a bigger guy too, and has the girth and the kind of just the ability and the sand in his pants, as we like to say in the O-line junkies, to push people around and really be a big time people mover. He also showed some adequate kind of foot speed and agility and blocking in space, you know, pull blocks, climbs to the second level. I wasn't expecting him to look as athletic in space as a run blocker as he did. So overall, I think that he's probably the best one to come out of this group of O-line, you know, the 3 trio guys that they picked here at the end of the draft. But I think overall, their board was obviously a little bit different. These are not the picks that everybody wanted them to make, but I wouldn't say that there's any egregious reaches here. I don't think that we're talking a situation like, let's say, Jordan Richards, where they're drafting a 6th round safety in the 2nd round. Everybody was kind of penciled in where they were supposed to go, at least within that range. Now, maybe you wanted Antoine Winfield instead of Kyle Duggar, or you wanted Adam Trotman instead of Devin Asiasi. You know, it just preference, right? Just different guys, but they stuck to their board. They took the guys that they like, and you can't really fault them for it.
And a couple questions here about the 2020 draft for the Patriots overall. We'll probably have to go back to their picks on day 2 for this question. Your Patriots' biggest steal of the draft?
Ooh, biggest steal of the draft. I think Onwenu is a really good pick. I think that he's a guy that can probably start at some point here. I also think that Uchi is a guy that a lot of people, especially at the Senior Bowl, are extremely high on as a player that really is extremely talented, both on and off the line of scrimmage. So I would say those 2 guys are definitely where I would start in terms of biggest steals. And then we'll go, you know, maybe an Asiasi too as well. But Uchi, I think, as at 60 is a pick that the Patriots are really going to like.
I think their first pick of the draft is the steal, because I think Kyle Duggar, if he has the capability of coming in and taking good coaching, his athletic ability is very, very elite. And I think that ability to roam around the defense and be really that robber or that, shadow type of defender to really chase after the quarterback is going to be something that is going to come in very handy for the defense as they take on the Lamar Jacksons and the Pat Mahomes of the world. That, I think, could wind up being the steal.
Yeah, I agree with Duggar. I think a lot of people, when they saw the name, they saw the D2 prospect, they freaked out a little bit, right? And they were like, who the hell is this guy? And why are we taking a guy from Lenoir-Rhyne that's a D2 prospect? I think they're going to quickly realize that he can really play.
Absolutely. And obviously a lot of Patriots fans disappointed at this point that no wide receiver was taken. Maybe they thought a new quarterback was coming to Foxborough. For you guys, what's your biggest disappointment for the Patriots draft?
That they didn't get a guy like KJ Hill. I mean, I know he's a slot receiver and he doesn't have a lot of separation speed. I get all of that. But I would have liked to have seen them get a wide receiver from a program, a big, a Power 5 conference that has put up big numbers, because I do think that matters when you're coming to the NFL. But obviously they weren't comfortable. I think we talked about this in the last segment. They were not comfortable that any particular wide receiver could come in and handle the Patriots offensive system if it stays the Perkins-Earhart route tree. That it's just too complicated.
Yeah, I think that that's really what it was that the guys that they had a chance of getting at that point in the draft at wide receiver, they looked at it and said, Denzel Mims, Brandon Ayuk, those types of players, just too raw, just too, simplified of a route tree for those guys in college, that it was going to be a big step up. And really what they've did is they drafted that guy in N'Keal Harry last year. So really to be redundant there and draft another guy that's going to take a year or two to, kind of be the guy that they want him to be seemed a little bit just off the beaten path. The reason why I'm so surprised about no KJ Hill is because he's really that crafty inside receiver that can win with option routes and different types of, kind of pre-snap or post-snap decision making, right? And that's the type of guy that usually does well here, is the intelligent, crafty, quick, agile at the top of the route, not necessarily a burner, but just a very good kind of route runner and route technician. And to have him fall all the way down the draft board like he did and not pick him up, I think is easily the biggest disappointment.
One other thing to keep in mind when you're looking at all of these prospects is how they project in college, or how they played in college, may not be how the Patriots project them at the NFL level. So, for instance, if a player is, let's say on the defensive line, they're a little bit undersized, or on the offensive line, if they're a little bit undersized, they may be exclusively a special teams player. And while Bill Belichick certainly understands that if you're going to make the roster spot, you've got to serve multiple roles. There's nothing wrong with drafting a player they feel like can be primarily a special teamer, but depth at other positions. And I think that's the kind of the way the Patriots view a lot of these prospects.
And there's still a few guys out there at the wide receiver position that, assuming they don't get scooped up here in the end of the 7th round, that the Patriots could get an undrafted free agency that would be like this year's Jacoby Myers, a Kalijah
Right.
Lincecum, a Courtney Davis, maybe a Benjamin Victor, maybe a Tyree Cleveland, who would bring some speed on the outside from Florida. Those guys, Aaron Fuller too from Washington, that those guys have the potential of being that, diamond in the rough UDFA signing that the Patriots are so accustomed to making. So yeah, maybe no wide receiver in the top 50, no wide receiver in the top 100, no wide receiver drafted at all. But I think that there's a guy that they could squeak at here in UDFA, undrafted free agency, that at least will create a little bit of buzz here.
Malcolm Perry out of Navy. How's that, Evan?
That he does it all. That he's the type of guy that at least you can figure out a way to get him on the roster, right? Because he does so many different things.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it's time to have some fun here. Time to give the Patriots a grade for the 2020 NFL Draft. Evan, let's start with you.
I give it a B-. And the reason why I give it a B- is because I think that they got their type of player, right? I think that they got their type of player throughout the draft. It just doesn't have the shine that you would want to have. Now, obviously, I think draft grades are a little bit silly because we don't really know what these guys are actually going to pan out to do. But based off of our pre-draft evaluations of this class, they got some guys that can really play. I think the Uche and Duggar picks off the top of the draft are guys that are definitely going to play roles as rookies and be able to produce. But they're just not the type of guys that really bring a ton of kind of like buzz and sort of an excitement about this class. But the Patriots got their type of guys. I love the double dip at tight end. I think that that's really helpful for this team moving forward.
Can I give an incomplete?
No, because it's obviously incomplete. Like no.
I would say the Patriots are going to get just a straight B, and I think that's because they got an elite talent at the top of the draft, which is really what you're trying to do, right? I mean, you want to match up the talent and the impact level toward the top of the draft and go with maybe some depth and reaches toward the bottom of or developmental players toward the bottom end of the draft. And I think that's the way the Patriots played this. Look, I mean, I don't know enough to know if Josh Uche's game is going to translate as an edge at the NFL level. From everything you read, it definitely is going to. But Kyle Duggar, to me, I don't want to say he's can't miss, because there are a lot of question marks about any player coming out of Division II, but he's got elite level ability to really match up with any offense that he goes up against. The rest of them, we'll wait and see on the tight ends. I think there's a lot to like about Asiasi and Dalton Keene. But again, until they get here and work with the system, it's really hard to tell. But I'm going to give this draft a B.
Yeah, we're going to do this every year where the Patriots don't take the guy that you want them to take in a certain spot, or the media has told you they should take in a certain spot, and they take their own guys. And then everybody comes out after the draft and gives them an F, and we all, scold them for not taking a wide receiver early, or not taking this off. They take this edge rusher, they take Uchi instead of Bond, or they take Duggar instead of McKinney or Winfield or something like that. And everybody gets all up in arms. I will say this about Duggar. He's definitely going to have a role on this team. Whether he's an impact stud player, I'm not sure, but he's going to have a role, especially in the kicking game, and then obviously on defense too. So he's going to play somewhere. I don't know if he's going to be a Pro Bowler, but he's definitely going to play.
I'm going to give the Patriots a C+ for this draft because of the fact that obviously no splash players, no wide receivers, no namely quarterbacks, that obviously they have a plan. They like what they've got in Jarrett Stidham. They like the players they have at wide out, but I do think there's a little bit of redundancy there with the final 3 picks of the draft as guard and center and then at linebacker. But as you said, no one really knows until they all get on the field and we can make an assessment then. But thank you guys so much for joining in on our live streams for the last 3 days as we broke down and reacted live with you guys on all the Patriots picks. Be sure to catch all of our coverage on our website at clnsmedia.com and look out for our in-depth videos on each individual Patriots draft selection on our YouTube channels at Patriots Press Pass and CLNS Media. Thanks so much.